Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Emmanuel Munoz. I am from your History and Systems class. We did our project on social influence of technology. Um, basically, how technology has impacted our lives. Although we may think of technology as iPhones, iPads, and the different things we've seen change throughout these 10, 15 years, you could say. Actually, technology has always been part of human history, I would say. We are constantly trying to evolve, we are constantly trying to learn, and we are constantly trying to get better. Um, so, in order to illustrate um, technology, I I actually found Mr. JV in our history and system books, and Mr. JV had about three inventions that were kind of mainstream or popular. So just to kind of give you a little background, Mr. JV created a life-size man that could play 20 different tunes. It must have been equipped with a very complex mechanism because it could play two different musical instruments. That was the first invention. The second invention was the digesting duck. Was made of a gilded copper and had over 4,000 moving parts. It can quack, flap its wings, drink water, digest grain, and defecate like a living duck. Although Mr. JV's duck supposedly demonstrated digestion accurately, his duck actually contained a hidden compartment of digested food, so that what the duck defecated was not the same as what it ate. So that was the second. So again, he created the man that can play 20 different tunes, which was a life-size man, and then the defecating duck, which replicated a actual living duck. Um, and he was also credited with creating the first intestines by using rubber tubing. Because of the open design, people were able to follow the digestive process of the duck. Mr. JV also created a textile paper system. Mr. JV eliminated the complicated system of weights and cords that had been used to select which wrap threads were to be raised during waving. Mr. JV also added a ratchet mechanism to advance the punch paper each time that the cylinder was pushed against the row of hooks. So if you can kind of imagine, it was just basically a cylinder with thread, and the machine can obviously do that a lot faster and more efficient than the one that was previously there. So as you can see, uh, technology has always been part of history. That just goes to show you of how different it was. But then again, um, people always had a vision of how we could improve. I watched a documentary called Disconnected, and it pointed out a lot of interesting things that are going on today because of where we are technology wise. Um, I highly do recommend the movie if you get a chance to watch it. There's a lot of interesting information on there. These are just some facts that kind of boggled my mind and I thought were interesting that I'm going to point out to you guys. Um, so it's just a list of things. Here we go. We have more things to do in the morning now than we did before. So now we check email, Facebook, Twitter. We do all kinds of things compared to before, where it was just like get up, breakfast, and out the door. In 1999, there was 6 billion people. That same year, 1999, the BlackBerry was invented, and there was 250 million mobile users around the world. In 03, MySpace was invented. 04, Facebook was invented. Gaming started coming into prominence around 2002. In 2011, we reached 7 billion people in the world. As of right now, there is about 5.9 billion devices around the world. There is 850 million Facebook users as of right now. Back when the PlayStation 2 came about, there was about 150 million users. Right now, there is 500 million websites, and one very, very interesting thing that the movie pointed out was the idea of multitasking. There really is no such thing as multitasking. It is more of task switching. So we've gotten, if you want to call it that, we've gotten good at going from one thing to the other. But if I am explaining this correctly, the prefrontal cortex is the one that is responsible for helping us concentrate on what we really want to. So an example would be reading a book on a busy bus station. So we block out the noise and we really want to read the book. So we read the book, but our brain is able to block out the noise. Just to kind of keep going down the list here, sleep deprivation is a big thing now because of technology. We get up in the middle of the night, answer an email, answer a text, or whatever the case may be, then go back to sleep. But just for the mere fact that our sleep is interrupted, that leads to sleep deprivation. The movie questioned whether we can actually fully immerse ourselves in an experience now and really enjoy it and really take into consideration the hard work that it takes to, for example, be a singer, be an athlete, or anything else, teacher, scientist, whatever the case may be. Are we truly immersed in that moment, in the present, or are we just like, hey, that's cool, but we can't invest ourselves in it because we are constantly checking our phone. A couple other scenarios that were interesting that the movie brought up was there was two couples. The first one, um, the wife convinced her husband to create a Facebook page to share pictures of their baby with family and whatnot. And so he finally did. 2 months after creating the Facebook page, the husband cheated on his wife with his high school sweetheart, and it was through Facebook. And the other couple got so involved in the game that they were playing, the virtual game that they were playing, that they forgot to feed their baby. The young lady seems really sincere that she didn't mean to do it and they did not do it consciously, although that is up to interpretation. However you choose to think about that one. Um, there was, I guess, a study or correlation or some way somehow they saw that if you texted a very significant amount, it led to you having lower morals. I guess the best way I can explain it is what did you think about marriage, or what did you think about kids? Things like that are life altering, or decisions that are very important were no longer as important. You took into consideration things like fashion and other things that are maybe not so important. Symantec, which is Norton, the antivirus company, did a study to see what would happen if they left phones out in public, like if they were lost, to see how many people would check it. And it showed that a lot of people tried to go through Facebook, the pictures, videos, and different things through the phone. So you got to be careful of what you keep in the phone, because sometimes that information can be exposed, and it can lead to many repercussions. One thing that technology has also done, it has made sexting a lot more pervasive / popular. Many teens confessed to sending and receiving images. There's been a couple of instances where the images have gone out to the public, gone out to the school, and it has ruined the image / reputation of the student, and they have to constantly move schools, because once you send it over to someone, then they can forward it, and then the information just keeps getting out. A couple of other interesting things that this technological evolution has done is there was a gentleman in the movie that spent about 3,000 hours a year playing a game. He neglected his family. He basically created a virtual character, started a relationship with um, his virtual girlfriend. They would talk romantically and do all those things, and they had a relationship until he noticed that he was addicted to the game, so he ended up reaching out to um, Online Gaming Anonymous, which is basically just a community that helps people that are addicted to games. Uh, After he realized that, he stayed offline for about a week, and his virtual girlfriend just abandoned him. She never came back. So now he sees that all the time that he invested in the game was not worth it, because he lost his wife, he lost his kids. So those are just a couple of bad things that technology has done to us. A couple of good things is that, for example, veterans that are coming back from the war uh, often use a virtual game slash world to stay in touch with many veterans, and the game actually allows them to exercise because they actually have to move their body, kind of like when you play the Wii. They have to do certain breathing patterns that activates the game. This allows them to interact with other veterans. So if one of them is having an issue, they post it on there, and the community basically rallies around them and helps them out. Let me see if there's a couple other things that I wanted to point out. Yes, so kind of going back to the negatives, there's body dysmorphia that some people experience because they constantly see all these really, really good Facebook pictures, Instagram pictures, and they wonder why I don't look that good. I want to look that good. So they strive for that, and that leads to body dysmorphia. Uh, Another thing was that pornography addiction is really big now because it's so accessible, and a lot of people are starting to realize that. There's more and more addiction counselors that can help out with that. Some have even developed an app to help their patients out. A lot of times, pornography is linked to loneliness, although that is not always the case. One other thing that they did was they created a fake profile, and they said that the guy was married and all that, and they wanted to see how long it would take for him to get someone to sleep with him, or just date or whatever, and they actually got a response within 39 minutes of posting the profile. So now it's a lot easier to date. It's a lot easier to have to hook up with people for a night, not think much of it, and then everybody goes kind of their separate ways. So dating has really, really changed because of that technology boom. I do want to point out a couple other positive things. So there was a gentleman that suffered some type of accident, I believe, on his leg or something like that, and basically he was immobile for lengthy amount of time, and he didn't have anything to do. So basically, he Googled how to create a app, and he ended up creating iSketch, which is basically a drawing app. A little bit more advanced. You can do a little bit of more things on his, but essentially all the revenue, or a significant amount of revenue that he received from it, uh, he used to buy iPads and iPods for other hospital children. Um, so as you can see, technology has positives and negatives. And one incident that I forgot to mention was the Anthony Weiner, which is used to be the New York politician. He sent out a compromising picture of himself, and it basically spread like wildfire. He sent it out through social media. He thought he had sent it privately, but he sent it publicly. So then that picture spread widely, and he had to renounce to his position. So as you can see, there's positives and negatives to technology. I think the biggest thing we have to realize is that technology really spreads really fast, and once it's out there, it's out there, and we can't do anything about that. So really be careful of what you put out, because it travels fast again. All right, that's just a couple of things from the movie. A couple of studies that I found interesting out of my research articles um, was that they did a study of giving people a media center. So most people switch between two devices depending on what their needs are. Some people connect their computer to a TV, um, so it has more use now. Others have one thing going on the TV and another on the computer, and switch between both. Both people are more likely to use devices when they are not constrained to an area. The users of DLNA, the use of DLNA, has a positive impact because you are not constrained to one device, and you can share media with family. Media consumption can isolate us or help us talk about stuff because we have access to information. Smartphones are very popular because you are able to do multiple things. The only time people use a laptop is when the smartphone cannot complete the task needed. The media center was popular in this study because people were able to watch videos, listen to music, and other things. So essentially, they studied it by giving people a media center, which was basically a section of their house that they would go to, and they can access the internet, play music, and do all those things. They wanted to see how interactions between people changed and how that dynamic worked, and essentially also they pointed out the more devices you have, the more likely you are to switch between them, and if you have limited devices, you're actually less willing to share them, although you will share them. That was one study. Um, let's see here. The other thing that was interesting in another study was narcissism. Um, so while there was no direct link found between narcissism and frequency of social media use, people who spend significant amount of time on social media exhibit more narcissism traits. Uh, so they're not saying you're a narcissist because you spend time on social media, but the more time that you spend, the more characteristics you have of narcissism. Another study that I found had to do with the Army and how they realized that technology was having an impact on face-to-face interaction and the way people communicated. Although the Army and other branches of government do spend on technology and it has helped them out tremendously, they still rely heavily on face-to-face interaction and having that direct communication or instant communication. It's kind of just to give you an idea of what they said. They said personal relationships are built primarily upon direct contact, communication, and trust. The Army needs this trust to firmly be established by direct, active communication with support from communication technology rather than primarily by communication through mediating. So for certain tasks, computer communication does have its benefits, but for face-to-face, it requires full attention, immediate reaction. The reaction of one can have an effect on the whole group. So essentially, they don't mind that you use technology to communicate, but they rather you use face-to-face interaction because your reaction can have an effect on the whole group, and it requires your full attention, and it requires an instant reaction also. Alright, let's see here. What else do we have? Alright. So I talked about the beginning of technology, the technology we have now. Alright. And future technology that I decided to focus on was artificial intelligence. So how about we just do it this way? We're gonna read a couple things and then kind of give you my thoughts on it. Alright, so it says genetic engineering might someday be used to enhance human intelligence by manipulating only a handful of genes. It could be possible to increase our IQ. Brain research suggests that a series of genes acting together in complex ways is responsible for human intellect. So essentially, for me, what that means is they're going to be able to maybe add neurological pathways, maybe you can say, or brain waves or brain nerves that'll increase your IQ. Now, if they mean genes as an XY, that's also a possibility because we know that right now you can genetically modify your kid if you want your kid to have blue eyes or be tall or whatnot. So that's kind of what I think. They might just switch up a couple things, add a couple things, and bam. Before you know it, we're a lot smarter. We'll have to see what that does for competition. Uh, Nature has limited the growth and development of our brains. For a variety of reasons, it is not physically feasible to increase human brain size and add to the length of neurons. Thus, he says any further enhancement of intelligence must come from external means. Oh yeah. So actually, I jumped a little bit ahead and I'm wrong. So they can't uh, add to the length of neurons. So I'm assuming because they can't add to the length, they can't add more neurons. Although I could be wrong, but essentially that's what they're saying. Like, because you can't add to the length, or maybe you can't add neurons, we will have artificial intelligence just like add or boost our intelligence through external means. So whether that means we plug into a machine and we download the information, and then we have the ability to process it within minutes or whatever that time frame may be, then that's the way we're gonna have to do it, because we're not able to change the dimensions of our brain. Those are a couple things that are probably possible with artificial intelligence as far as the brain. There was a couple other things that I was interested in. It says paralyzed patients could one day use telekinesis to move artificial limbs. Complete exoskeleton would enable paraplegics to walk and function like whole people. Taking the principle a step further, people could control androids from pods, live their lives through attractive alter egos in the style of the 2009 movie Surrogates, starring Bruce Willis. Um, so essentially, the way I think about this is you're going to be able to for lack of a better word or term, you're going to be able to attach limbs to yourself, or wear a suit that allows you to walk like an able-bodied human, because right now, as we see, you have to get fitted with the prosthesis. You have to go through all these things that will basically make sure that you're compatible with your leg. But I guess what they're trying to do is make it accessible to a lot of people. All right. Another interesting field is medicine. So, in the field of medicine, brain research could increase longevity and enhance the quality of life for many patients. Engineers are currently working to create a RoboDoc which could screen people and give basic medical advice with 99% accuracy, almost for free. So essentially, the way I think about this is kind of like just a a machine that's able to scan your body and tell you, okay, you are in risk of diabetes, cancer, or whatever the case may be. I guess the only question is, are we going to take this information seriously and be proactive and change what we need to do in order to become healthy? Artificial intelligence may even allow people to one day escape their bodies completely and transition to a post-biological existence. The way I think about this is so you have a human body, right? And let's say you're on Earth. Basically, you will be able to transport yourself to another planet and switch to whatever body naturally adapts to that planet. And you can switch back and forth, essentially. I know that sounds a little crazy, but I think eventually, some way, somehow, we will be able to travel between planets, but not necessarily always be in our human body. We'll be able to switch bodies. Um, some challenges of artificial intelligence are the following. The two most fundamental challenges confronting AI are replicating pattern recognition and common sense. Our subconscious minds perform trillions of calculations when carrying out pattern recognition exercises, yet the process seems effortless. Duplicating this process in a computer is a tall order. So essentially, our subconscious does a lot of things that we don't even think about, that are automatic, and for a computer to be able to do that would be a stretch, because essentially a computer, all it is a set of commands. So if you don't build that command into it, then it's not able to execute it, and that's what they're saying, that we don't understand subconscious at this particular time. So how could we write all the different commands that it would take to master subconsciousness? A person that is not in favor of AI was Mr. Barrett. Mr. Barrett says AI robots can take over the human race because they will be able to predict the future. They want to protect their species. And basically, that would lead to a destruction, because it's just in the nature that someone has to have control, and they're going to fight for control. And he wants to know, do we have a backup plan in case they do decide to take control? He questions, are we going to be able to actually make decisions, financial decisions, because Wall Street will eventually use this to predict the economy. So basically, we would have, basically what he's saying is we would have no use, because AI would be so good at predicting things that we would just rely on the information. All right. One cool thing, Mr. K, the guy that's for artificial intelligence, says that we will be able to communicate with computer humans and other planets that have left their biological body. So I think that what he's saying about this is that um, there's other species out there that are not human and are now computer humans that will be able to leave their biological body and transform. Or maybe they have a biological body, but they will be able to again switch back and forth. Um, but essentially, we will not be able to tell the difference between a human biological body versus a computer human because they will be so alike. Um, I guess the scariest thing is what happens when there's an information attack and how that information is used against us. Um, and what backup plans do we have in case we do have to shut the grid down or do different things like that, what impact that would have. Um, Me, myself, I'm just a curious guy. I really want to know what machines are capable of and what humans are capable of because we will always try to innovate. And if this is the step that we need to take to see how far we can get and how we can better human lives, that's great. Uh, I think there's going to come a point where uh, there cannot be any more secrets because we will be able to read each other's minds, and we will have to govern really, really good because we can't lie to our people and say we're going to do something and then not do it, or only help out a certain section of the population. There's many great things, like I pointed out, for physical disabilities, health, many different things that I think are very good. I think ultimately we just kind of have to go through it and see where we draw the line. Because right now it just seems like we might think like, oh, we're the smartest people and there's no one out there that are smarter than us, or whatever the case may be. But we simply don't know that, and we have to go through it and see what happens. Uh, Thank you for your time, class. Thank you, Dr. E, and have a good one.